Much at home here in the community. Thanks very much. On behalf of the University of Alabama, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you here for the CIROH 2024 Science Meeting. It is a privilege to host this gathering of distinguished scientists, researchers, and partners who are at the forefront of water resources research and innovation. Your work is vital towards addressing the challenges we face in hydrologic forecasting and community resilience. It is my distinct honor to introduce our keynote speaker, Jack Dangermond, President and founder of Esri. Jack is a pioneer in the field of geographic information systems and a visionary leader in the use of geospatial technology to solve complex global challenges. He founded Esri in 1969 with the mission to create tools that better help people understand and manage the world around them. Under his leadership, Esri has grown into the world's leading provider of GIS software. I'm guessing that every single person in here knows this already. Under his leadership, this has empowered millions of users across many industries to make data-driven approaches that improve communities and the environment. Jackson.
I didn't know I was going to talk about those things. Now I'm really nervous. Anyway, I want to join everyone else in welcoming you here. You are, as I read about you, a very special group of people. Wouldn't you agree? Look around. I'm going to say a few things, but at the beginning of this meeting, I'd like to actually, you guys don't actually even know each other. So I'd like you to all stand up and introduce yourself to one new person. Could you do that for me now? Could you stand up? Find somebody you don't know. Tell them who you are. Building some new relationships, sharing what you're doing, learning from others. Isn't that amazing? I mean, that's the purpose of actually being together as opposed to listening to virtual videos and so forth. It's connecting. And of all the groups that need to get connected, from my view, why I really was thrilled when I was asked to come here, it is all about water and geography. Wouldn't you agree to that? And it's bringing it together. So I want to start with simply a couple words about the world that you and I are living in. I mean, it is, as you would know, as scientists of stuff, lots of systems. Hydrology is one of them. And these are interconnected and they're complex. And if we look at the total world, that little blue ball spinning in the universe, it's worth contemplating what it means to live in this complex, living, and rapidly changing world. It's increasingly impacted by us, our human footprint. And we know this from many news articles, or depending upon who you listen to your news from. We know that we are, as a body of humans, innovating constantly. And the impact of these innovations are enormous. These are ones in my lifetime. Transforming agriculture, cities. Humans are innovating constantly, overcoming the big challenges that are facing us. Computing, education, like here, impacting your world. Everything from drought to severe storms to ecological instability. These were sort of unintended consequences because we didn't see things as a total. We saw them in sectors, optimizing for our own interest. There was no sort of social cognition of all the consequences of what we were doing. So unintended consequences spun out of control. And now some would suggest that we're living in an unsustainable way, that we don't really have a future. And for you, scientists particularly, who are measuring and analyzing some of the most complex systems on the planet, this is challenging. Overcoming these kinds of challenges, that's the question, and should be on every one of our minds all the time, because you're gifted, of the education and the advanced support systems in science that you have dealt with will require understanding, an interesting word, and significant collaborative action, not something that we altogether find going on in our country or in the world today. That was an aspiration. How many of you took a geography class? Oh, that's really amazing. My heart is pounding. Well, geography is the science of our world, and it helps us understand everything we know. Everything. I was sharing with some of my colleagues the other day. We get, in my organization, we have new staff added. I was going to the restroom and coming out, and I saw this new young man there. Did I tell you this story? He was sort of coming out. I said, how's it going? Introduced myself, and I said, what are you working on? He said, everything. And it sort of took me by surprise. What do you mean, everything? Well, of course, geography is everything. So this science is a framework of defining what, and this audience particularly will understand when, hydrographs, etc., and also where. All three of those are brought together. And this means seeing the world as an interconnected system. Exactly what I said. This language, or science, the foundational science of everything, is very interesting because it lets us understand everything. And look at the diagram, it's interesting. And it parallels to what hydrologists do all the time. They collect data, fundamental science. They sometimes visualize it and map it, graphs and maps. They model it. They look at the future or look at relationships. And also they have that as a framework for doing design or planning and also decision making. Our president and most presidents in the last 30 years have used maps and geography as a framework for deciding about policies, but also planners and foresters and engineers use it to link and drive these measurements into action. Crime, or being able to respond to something like the Francis Scott Key Bridge, which brought together, by the way, all the federal agencies, Army Corps, NOAA, USGS, to collaboratively, that picture looks like a picture, doesn't it? But it actually is a digital twin of the bridge that was used as a foundation for action. And in your particular field, thousands, tens of thousands of examples are being displayed. Now, after these two devastating events in North Carolina and Florida, to respond more effectively. This means not just forecasting or understanding, but also applying that information to save people's lives, both in advance and also these next few weeks in disaster recovery. Look, GIS, I'll make the assertion to you, is a platform for spatializing your work, hydrology. Where did you first go on a date? Where is a magical word. It actually connects to everybody in this room, but actually everybody in the world. Where? Where is it? How do I get there? The sort of Google map routing, where is it? Where is the magical word that connects science to how we are wired? Aristotle in this. He used to memorize his speeches as he walked around his room. This is really amazing, actually. Spatial memory and spatial referencing and indexing is very powerful. Let me just, you were able to grasp this whole concept of atmospheric rivers, a term that I didn't really understand until I saw this. It's a kind of a system linking the atmosphere to, and then link it to the work that was done here in Tuscaloosa, to the pulmoning on the terrain and moving it around and figuring out where the floods are going to be. We're just at the very, very beginning of where this is going to go. Look, GIS, this field that I live in, is expanding the language of geography. Several thousand engineers who work with me that keep advancing this portfolio of tools. Every year we make a little bit more progress. These are, I highlighted in yellow some of the big ones that are underway now, and of course it's to PCs, to the web, to servers, and is becoming distributed with web services. Each of those steps has multiplied the number of users, but also what we can create. And you can glance through and find your favorite subject area. All of it is advancing tools. I think not only are you in your own niche science, and that's fantastic, but you're also part of something much larger, which is the application of hydrology to build these systems of systems that will be essential for us as a species to have a future. And that means building the necessary systems, building, in my language, the necessary maps being almost a metaphor for the stories that have to be told, and applying the latest science and technology. And also, I think just having the curiosity and the courage. Great scientists had courage. I just 2 weeks ago went to see Galileo's museum in Florence. If you haven't been there, it's quite extraordinary because he invented tools which led to concepts which, of course, discovered that the Earth is not the center of the universe, it's the sun, and so on. Those little inventions with his telescopes and his geometry tools led to a revolution in the Renaissance. And we're right at this particular moment at that same age where science will impact our future. He was not a mapper. I can't figure out why he wrote this, but each generation are risk takers and those who seek opportunities. And this is certainly relevant in your field, to seize the moment and expand the vision. This goes all the way back to innovation of all these things that I talked about. We need to innovate now, desperately we need to innovate and expand where we're going. So my belief system is scientists and those that believe in them together can leverage this power of geography and the digital manifestation of it to unite our nation, of course, but the world. Okay, I'm not trying to be political here. It's not my point. And also create a better and more sustainable future. So I think I will stop there. I could talk for another 10 minutes about what's happening, but I'm getting the evil eye from my colleague now. It says, stop here, Jack. Right. Anyway, we're going to have now a panel to talk about this and other subjects. Joe, you want to join me?
Creation of one of the single most impactful development in the discipline of geography, and it's made it possible for so many of us to do what we do today. And we'd like to give you this gift. It's a heritage magnolia.
How am I going to get it home?
We'll send it. We'll figure out a way to send it. Don't worry. But it represents resilience from the state of Alabama. So, thank you. I'd like to do another thank you for Jack. And Now I'd like to invite Steve Burrier back to move us to the next part of the presentations.